Howdy there, folks. How are y'all doing? My name is Reese, and a few months ago, I made a video discussing my new Canon SL3 video camera. I did it over on the gaming channel, talking about how I was using it along with an Elgato cam link as a webcam to, or more so like a face cam for live streams and things of the like, and I've gotten a ton of questions since then. I wanted to address those right now, as well as walk you through my setup procedure to show you how I got it working. Now, I should note that as of today, I am no longer using the cam link, not because there's anything at all wrong with it. I actually have a Blackmagic Quad HDMI input card that I've had a really hard time to get working, but I finally managed to get it working, as you can see. So I've switched over to that to decrease the amount of clutter going into the back of the computer. So did work fine with the cam link, and it worked for the last several months. In fact, if you go to my live stream channel, youtube.com/howdyfolkslive, all of the archives there from the last couple of months with Facecam, those all use the SL3 with the cam link. So I'll put a link to some of those down below if you want to go see a sample. Didn't have any problem with those. Just wanted to let you know that in this video, I am not using the cam link, but it shouldn't matter because I have been all the way up until today. So what issues am I hearing from folks? Well, apparently on Elgato's website, they say that the SL3 is not the best option to use with the cam link or any sort of HDMI capture device because it goes to sleep by itself after 30 minutes. Is this true? Have I experienced this? No, in fact, I accidentally left this camera on all night last night. Not intentional, but it did stay on, and it continued to capture a feed. It never went to sleep. I'm going to show you how I accomplished that, and hopefully it works for you too. First things first, I do not use a battery on the SL3. I don't know if that matters or if that makes a difference. It could be that the camera turns itself off after 30 minutes to preserve battery life, because technically you're not recording, when it is plugged in and capturing to HDMI, so maybe it just thinks that you left it on and it was a mistake and it turns itself off. I don't know. I've never used it with a battery, literally never used it with a battery. From the day I got it, I've been using it with a dummy battery that plugs directly into AC mains and provides it with infinite power. So long as there is power coming to my house, there's power going to the camera. That might make a difference. I'm not sure. The other thing we're going to check today is the firmware on this camera, because maybe they released a firmware that changes it. So we're going to check and see what I've got, and we can check and see if that's the latest or if there's a new one. But let's get into the settings now. At this point, I do honestly wish that I could walk you through the exact changes that I made, but I don't remember. I've had this camera for a couple of months now. I did setup on it once, and I haven't gone back in here since, so I don't really remember what I changed, but I'm going to go through each one of these pages and let you just look at the settings, and if you have an SL3 that you're trying to get working, maybe you can just copy my settings and get it working. So pretty much everything on this screen is disabled. Wrong direction. Everything's disabled. These settings probably shouldn't matter. So again, you can just look at them and set them to your preference or to your liking. This one is important. HDMI info display. So if you click here, you can choose what you want out. We want clean full HD. You can do clean 4K, but I think that is limited to 24 frames a second. I could be wrong on that, but make sure on HDMI info display, you do clean, and then I'm doing high full HD output, and that'll make sure that you don't have a auto-focusing box. So that is under, if you go into your settings, that's going to be under shooting settings for page 4 HDMI info setup. That one is important. And then the rest of these, nothing really looks important here. You want to make sure that movie servo autofocus is enabled, assuming you have an STM lens that can adjust quietly. If your mic is far away from the camera, you might be able to get away with a non-STM lens too, but pretty much everything on here looks to be just personal preference. So let's go to the next one, and the next one is going to be playback settings. I'm going to skip that. Wireless settings, going to skip that. Function settings, I guess we'll jump through here real fast. Select folder, file numbering, auto-rotate, format card. I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark, and auto power off. Look at that. Not available because the associated functions HDMI info display. Maybe that's the thing people are having problems with. So maybe you're not setting your HDMI info display off, and that is causing the auto power off to be enabled. So it's grayed out for me now. I can't even adjust it. And I guess that is because I have the previous setting we just changed, the HDMI one, set correctly. So maybe double check that. Nothing really useful here. Let me see. Going through all of these. HDMI, HDR output? I did not even know that was a thing. Oh, display still images. Okay, so it's kind of useless. Okay, everything looks good here to me. Let's move on to the final setting, which is display level settings. I don't think there's anything here we'll need to look at, no. So let's see if we can find the firmware. So those are my settings, and this is my setup. Again, I was using the Cam Link. I'm not currently, but I never had any problems when I was using it. I tried to find the firmware on the camera. I said I was going to, and I did. I even unplugged the HDMI, and I cycled through every single menu. According to Canon's site, where it is, or where it should be, it simply isn't there. So I don't know what firmware version I'm running. That said, I checked, and it appears, according to Canon's website, that there's only two firmware versions, version 100 and 101. And 101, apparently the only thing it does, at least according to Canon's website, is if you're using a Bluetooth controller, it changes the camera's auto shutoff to off. It turns off auto shutoff if Bluetooth controller is enabled. So if that's the only change it makes, I don't think that would make a difference to the camera automatically turning off. If I had to guess, I would say that people who are having trouble with their camera automatically turning off are either A, they don't have that HDMI set up correctly, the one where you choose full HD output, clean. That's one option. Or two, possibly they are using a battery, and for some reason the battery auto shutoffs, and there's no way to change that. Again, you saw my setup for the HDMI output, and you know that I'm using a dummy battery. So I'll link to down below with the one that I got. It'll be an Amazon link. It will not be an Amazon affiliate link. It might be a bit.ly. I like those. Those are pretty quick links. Save a lot of space in the description. But I'll link to that. Hopefully it helps. I really don't know what to tell you. I'm assuming the folks at Elgato would know well enough to check these things before they just say yes or no about camera compatibility. But apparently, according to the comments I've been receiving, that's not the case. So I hope that this has helped. Thank you folks for watching. God bless you, and I'll see you later. Bye.